If getting invited to a packed rooftop party feels less like living your best life and more like preparing for psychological combat, relax. You're not weird, you're not broken, and you're definitely not missing out. You're just wired differently. And in a world addicted to noise, different looks suspicious. Let's talk about what's actually happening in your brain. Picture this. It's Friday night in downtown Chicago. Your phone lights up. Bro, everyone's at this new spot. It's insane. You coming? Your stomach drops. Not because you hate people, not because you don't like fun, but because your brain just ran the math. Crowd density, noise levels, forced small talk, energy cost, recovery time. And it concluded, hard pass. That's not anxiety, that's efficiency. 1. Your brain doesn't filter. It absorbs. Most people walk into a crowded bar and their brain auto-deletes 80% of what's happening. Background chatter, deleted. Awkward tension at the table next to them, ignored. That weird vibe between two friends, not registered. Your brain, it logs everything. Who's uncomfortable? Who's pretending to laugh? Who wants to leave but can't? Who's masking stress behind confidence? Psychologists call this sensory processing sensitivity. Translation: your nervous system runs on ultra-high resolution. While others experience life in standard definition, you're processing it in cinematic surround sound. And here's the kicker. This trait exists in roughly 15 to 20% of people. That means you're not rare in a broken way. You're rare in a high awareness way. Your brain evolved to detect patterns, shifts, threats, and emotional undercurrents. In ancient times, that person kept the tribe alive. Today, it just makes concerts feel like chaos. 2. You don't hate people. You hate performance? Let's clear something up. You don't avoid crowds because you're antisocial. You avoid them because they feel artificial. There's a difference. In loud social settings, everyone's performing. I'm killing it at work. My relationship is perfect. I'm having the best night ever. Meanwhile, you can see the cracks, the forced smiles, the exhausted eyes, the subtle insecurity hiding under confidence. Your brain doesn't just hear words, it reads subtext. That's emotional intelligence, not dysfunction. Research consistently shows that people who prefer deeper, smaller interactions tend to score higher in emotional awareness and empathy. You don't struggle socially, you just prefer authenticity over spectacle. You'd rather have 1-2 a.m. conversation about life, purpose, and fear than attend 5 networking mixers where everyone trades business cards and fake enthusiasm. That's not isolation, that's standards. 3. Your reward system is built differently. Here's where it gets interesting. For some people, crowds spark a dopamine surge. Noise, movement, attention, stimulation. Their brain lights up. Yours? Not so much. Your reward system leans toward internal stimulation, deep focus, reflection, ideas connecting quietly in your head. While someone else feels alive in a packed stadium, you feel alive during a solo drive at midnight with your thoughts finally uninterrupted. That doesn't mean you're missing out. It means your brain recharges through depth, not volume. And neurologically, that's completely normal. In fact, introverted-leaning brains often show more activity in areas linked to long-term planning, self-reflection, and complex decision-making. So when you're doing nothing on a Saturday night, you might actually be doing the most thinking anyone in your circle is doing all week. 4. You absorb emotional energy like Wi-Fi. Ever walk into a room and instantly feel tension, even when no one says anything? That's not imagination. That's attunement. You pick up micro-expressions, voice fluctuations, body shifts, unspoken stress, and in a crowded space, that's overwhelming. Because you're not just managing your own mood, you're subconsciously processing everyone else's. That's why a 2-hour event can feel like a 12-hour shift. It's not weakness, it's bandwidth overload. But here's the upside. This same sensitivity makes you incredibly perceptive in one-on-one relationships. People feel understood around you, heard, seen, safe. That's not a flaw. That's a rare social superpower in a culture obsessed with being loud instead of being aware. 5. You're not escaping life. You're choosing depth. American culture glorifies busy. If you're not out every weekend, building a huge circle, posting nonstop, and saying yes to everything, you're somehow wasting your 20s or not living fully. But here's the truth. Constant stimulation isn't fulfillment, it's distraction. Silence isn't empty, it's clarity. Solitude isn't loneliness, it's alignment. You don't avoid noise because you're afraid of life. You avoid noise because you value your energy. You understand something most people learn the hard way. Not every invitation deserves your nervous system. 6. Your nervous system is built like a high-performance engine. Most people run on a standard nervous system setting. Moderate stimulation? Fine. Loud music? Fine. 10 conversations at once? Fine. You? Your nervous system is tuned like a Formula One engine. Hyper-responsive, hyper-aware, hyper-reactive to input. Bright lights feel brighter. Loud spaces feel louder. Social tension feels heavier. It's not drama, it's biology. Your amygdala, the part of the brain that scans for threat and relevance, activates faster and stays active longer. So while someone else is casually enjoying a packed sports bar in Boston during playoffs, your brain is scanning. Who's angry? Who's intoxicated? Where's the exit? Why did that guy just raise his voice? It's not fear. It's pattern recognition. You don't relax easily in chaotic environments because your brain doesn't clock out. It stays on duty. And that constant vigilance? It's exhausting. But it's also why you notice what others miss. 7. You think before you speak. And that intimidates people. Let's talk about something nobody says out loud. Sometimes people label you quiet because your depth makes them uncomfortable. In fast-moving social settings, conversations are like ping pong, quick, reactive, surface level. You don't operate like that. You pause, you analyze, you choose your words carefully, not because you're shy, but because you respect language. And in a culture where the loudest voice often wins, someone who speaks less but says more can feel threatening. You're not slow socially. You're deliberate. And deliberate people don't thrive in noise. They thrive in meaning. 8. You experience joy differently. Here's something that might shock you. You're not less happy. You just experience happiness differently. For some people, happiness equals crowds, noise, attention, high stimulation. For you, happiness might look like a long drive through Arizona desert highways, a bookstore in Portland on a rainy afternoon, a quiet gym session at 6 a.m., a deep conversation that lasts hours. Your joy is quieter, but it's richer. Research in positive psychology shows that people who value depth over stimulation often report higher long-term life satisfaction. Why? Because your happiness isn't dependent on external validation. It's internal. And internal joy doesn't expire when the party ends. 9. You protect your energy because you know its value. You don't say no to events because you're antisocial. You say no because you understand opportunity cost. Every social event costs mental energy, emotional bandwidth, recovery time. And you've learned the hard way that not every room deserves access to your nervous system. That's not avoidance. That's boundaries. In your early years, maybe you forced yourself to show up, stayed longer than you wanted, smiled when you were drained, tried to be more outgoing. And every time you left feeling overstimulated, disconnected, needing 2 days to reset. Eventually, you realized something powerful. Just because you can endure something doesn't mean you should. That realization, that's maturity. 10. You're built for depth in a culture built for display. Let's zoom out. American culture celebrates extroversion, visibility, constant engagement, main character energy, but history? History was shaped by people who spent long periods alone thinking deeply. Inventors, writers, strategists, architects, philosophers. The loudest people don't always create the most impact. The deepest ones often do. And while everyone else is chasing noise, you're building clarity. That's not falling behind. That's playing a longer game. So if crowded concerts feel like chaos instead of connection, if networking events feel like auditions instead of conversations, if your idea of a perfect weekend looks nothing like Instagram's version, you're not broken. You're calibrated differently. And in a world that profits from distraction, someone who values focus is powerful. Now I want to know, are you A, recharge me with people, or B, give me space and I'll give you brilliance? Comment it. And if this felt uncomfortably accurate, stay tuned. Because next, we're breaking down the hidden strength of people who think too much and why overthinking might actually be advanced pattern recognition. You're not too much, you're just tuned in. And most people can't handle that frequency.